I care more about Amy Spencer's kids than Amy Spencer does, or Amy Kalina Kingery. And I care more about Jamie's son than she does. I care more about Shannon Alvarado's children than she does. I care more about Brett Roloff's children than he does. And I'll tell you why. Amy Kalina Kingery chose drugs over her own children. And who was it that picked up the torch? That's right, me. Jamie put her son in a dangerous situation that I never would have put him into. And because she wanted to play games with people, she was more interested in covering up her wrongdoing than doing the right thing. More interested in covering up the fact that she was playing men because she can get away with it because she's pretty. She was more interested in doing that than she was protecting her son from an abusive environment. Shannon Alvarado cares about her children deeply, she really does. But not enough to get sober. Not enough to stop screaming every fucking night, not caring how it affects her children. She didn't care how it affected me that she was screaming like that every night. Between making an effort to come forward about what she knew and being verbally abusive every night because she was drunk, she chose to get verbally abusive every night because she was drunk. Brett Roloff is more interested in getting fucked up on methamphetamines than taking care of his own children. One of them's a grown adult in college. He might even be graduated by now. But Brett just can't get off the meth. I care more about Amy and Andrew Witcher's children than they did. Because while Amy chooses to allow that predator in her house to do what he wants, to literally rape her, to sexually molest her own child, at least I did something about it. At least I did something about it. With all of these people who are my friends, who I care about deeply, the fact is I still care more about their children, even the ones I don't know. But I'm also interested in the truth. When Rand Ingersoll was taking care of two children that weren't hers, and I was helping, those children were lying little fucking bastards, claiming that she wasn't feeding them. But you know what? I told those girls, because Rihanna was hitting them, I told them, hey, if you want to call 911 about her hitting you, I'll back you up. Despite the fact that those children were unruly, the fact is they weren't getting hit because they were unruly. If Rihanna had spanked them, for their behavior, I'd have been fine with that. But I'm not fine with her hitting them because she misses her children, which is what was happening. Amy Kalina Kingery was more interested in hiding her meth use than taking care of her own children. More interested in blaming me for her decision to do meth, for her decision to steal from me. And because of jurisdiction and because I've been pegged with the mentally ill tag, I just have to take the abuse. There's not a goddamn thing I can do about it. I care more about Tabitha Michelle Cook's children than she does. Do you know why? Because Joshua Eichelberger never should have been in that household. He never should have been able to have access to Sydney to take her down and assault her on the stairs. He never should have been able to do that. He never should have been there. He never should have been screaming at 3-year-olds that they were cunts. And the conversations between Tabby and I, yeah, we speak about that. We talk about that in those conversations. She saw that video. And when we spoke about it, she said, yeah, I knew you were talking about Josh. Of course I was talking about Josh. Nobody else in that house was verbally abusive like that. Now, Tabby did get drunk twice while I was there, extremely drunk. But she wasn't verbally abusive. But the fact is, she didn't want to be alone. And because she didn't want to be alone, she allowed that predator to stay with her and her children. Because Jamie didn't want to be alone, because she wanted to play 2 men at once to get free shit because she's pretty. She allowed James Payton back into her and her son's life. You're goddamn right, I'm gonna speak out. If the police won't fucking listen, then maybe the public will. Because of the hatred against me, I have endured a whole shit ton of abuse. But I take this abuse for these children. I was one of these children once. When you grew up in foster care, you are the number one most likely person to be victimized in America. You go into foster care because your parents care more about drugs than their own children. They care more about not being alone and having a relationship with an abuser than their own children. Just like Rose Kelly. Just like Amy Witcher. Just like Tabitha Cook. And many others. They're abusers. These addicts meant more to them than me. And I'm fine with that. But those things should not have been more important than their children. When I talk about being alone, I'm speaking a different type of alone. With Tabby, for her talking about being alone, it's about wanting a relationship, sex. With most of the women who are mad at me, I'm fine with them being mad at me. They're mad at me because I spoke out about their wrongdoings, their moral inequities. The fact is, I never should have been abused. When I made people aware of the abuse, they did nothing. Absolutely nothing. But at least I try to do something about it. At least I make the effort. When I heard Shannon Alvarado screaming at Rick every night, I was afraid. When I was at Amy and Andrew Witcher's, I was afraid. When I was at Brett Roloff's, I was afraid. These people offered to help me, but they didn't help because of their addictions. The help that they offered me, the help that they said that they would give me, the help that I was asking for, none of these people actually followed through, none of them. And then they throw it in my face that they fed me and put a roof over my head, pretending that I am ungrateful. I'm not ungrateful for those things. I am angry that the help that I went there for, I never got. I got pretty words and empty promises. I care more about your children than you do, because I will step between your children and their predators. I will take the abuse. I don't want to, but you're not going to. You're not going to do anything about it. Tabitha finally got rid of Joshua Eichelberger when it was too late. If Joshua Eichelberger hadn't been there, I would have been able to do the things that I needed to do. But she didn't want to be alone. And when Graham did fucked up shit, Tabby took his side because he's her new not aloneness. Her new penis. And that's what it all comes down to. It's okay for women and not for men. It's okay for people who are in houses but not people who are homeless. It's okay for people who have families but not those without. You can do whatever you want to foster children and get away with it. And when they become adults, they still don't have a support network. They still don't have the help they need. And as a result, they are victimized as an adult for the things that happen to them as children. The help that you guys keep telling me that I need, you need psychiatric help. Yeah, but the first thing I need is housing. I need my own place. Before I can function, I need a safe environment. An environment where I can do the things that I need to do and not be victimized for it. Where I can have a panic attack and not be victimized for it. If I am victimized to the point that I have a fucking meltdown, then I get victimized for having a meltdown. Imagine what it was like for me growing up, being raped, being molested, being beaten. And then I go to each of these places where these people promise to help. And all of those statistics that I've lived through, I have to live through again. Because every time one of these children were hit, I remembered what it's like and it shut me down. Hearing about these children being molested took me back to when it happened to me and it shut me down. Because there's not a goddamn thing I can do about it. I must not know what's going on because I have the mentally ill tag. I must not be able to recognize abuse because I have the mentally ill tag. I also recognize that these people that I went to for help need help. Help that I could have provided them if it weren't for the slander by the Bollinger family and the abuse by the law enforcement across the entire fucking country. I needed an advocate, and no matter how hard I fought to try to get one, it takes resources to do that, and I didn't have the resources, therefore I must not have been trying. Meanwhile, I recorded the mental health places that I went to, as many as I was able. The police outright lied repeatedly in court. And the witnesses who knew better never made an effort to come forward with what they wanted, or with what they said they would. They never came forward with the truth. But I recorded the truth, and they hate me for that. Shannon Alvarado didn't come forward with the truth because she's a fucking alcoholic, and I never should have had to go to her for help. If I'd have known she was an alcoholic and that she was going to stay drunk and belligerent, I never would have gone there. Every time that she screamed at her boyfriend, I wanted to blow my goddamn head off. These people didn't keep their words. They didn't keep their words because drugs and alcohol and abuse were more important than I am. It doesn't matter how much I love you, I love your children more.